Now, here's the real Robert Mitchell.
Good evening. At one point, they said the Superdome would have to be demolished. Now, in less than a year, it's rebuilt looking better than ever. Some of the new things that you will see inside the Superdome will take your breath away. Monday night, it's like a Super Bowl in the city of New Orleans. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Dave Dixon, the father of the Superdome. Without Dave, we would have no Superdome. So we're coming back real soon on the Big 870 WWL and 105.3 WWL FM.
Mitchell on the Big 870, 105.3 WWL-FM and WWL.com. Call 504-260-1870 or 866-889-0870.
Well, there's probably not a person listening who does not have a favorite Superdome memory. Maybe it's a football game, a concert, a tractor pull, maybe even a marriage proposal. But none of those memories would be around if it weren't for our guest tonight, the father of the Superdome, Dave Dixon. Mr. Dixon, thank you so much for coming on the air with us tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing me on the air. It's a great honor and pleasure.
You know, for some people, the Superdome has been around all their life, and they have no idea how this got started. So can we begin? Can you take us back and tell us, when did the dream of building the Superdome first begin?
Well, you know, we were putting on these preseason games to try to impress the NFL. We knew that we had the use of Tulane Stadium for as many years as we needed to have. The Tulane board had told me that. But it would have been an imposition to have them 9 or 10, 8 or 9 big sellout games every year in that uptown New Orleans section. It would be unsettling to the campus and to the neighborhood. It really would have been. And even though I live fairly close to there, but so I thought, well, we really need a new stadium. And my thought was that we should build a great dome stadium that would just be the last meow in every respect. And I went, John McKesson, I had invited the new governor to a little preview party before the Green Bay, St. Louis preseason game at Tulane Stadium. And he came down, he was a big Jimmy Taylor fan, of course, he's a big LSU guy. And I didn't really know him. He came up behind me and whispered in my ear, he said, "Dave, this is John McKesson." And he said, "I am a tremendous football fan, and whatever I can do to help you and what you're trying to do, just let me know." And I'd heard that before from other political people, and I really didn't put too much stock in it because I didn't realize that this guy really was as bigger a fan than I. I mean to tell you, he was a big-time Major League football fan, particularly LSU, but he was dedicated to Major League sports for our state. And so I eventually got an appointment to go see him, and I had some grandiose ideas about Superdome, pretty much what we built. And so the governor said, he said, "Is that it, Mr. Dixon?" I said, "That's it, Governor." And he said, "Well, my God, that would be the greatest building in the history of man, and we'll build that sucker." And I thought maybe he was kidding me. No, I really did. I knew he was sincere, but I mean, nevertheless, I was absolutely startled. And then he called his secretary to come in, a nice, wonderful woman named Rita Victor, almost as smart as John McKesson. I'm telling you, she was a pretty smart gal. And she came in, and he said, "Go get Judge Spate," who was his chief administrative officer, and a dedicated, fine citizen of Louisiana, Judge Carlos Spate. So he says, "Dave," he says, "tell Judge Spate and Miss Victor exactly what you told me." I said, "You mean the whole thing?" He said, "Yeah." So I started out with another 20-minute spiel. And they said, they too also said, "Well, that building really would be a great building." And then the Judge Carlos Spade, who was a very practical man, said, "What would it cost?" And I said, "Well, we have something of an idea because of what it cost over in Houston to build that little Astrodome that they have, much smaller facility, and really not at all suited for football. So anyway, we progressed from that point. John McKiffin never changed his mind, never faltered, never wavered, and had a lot of people helping me at all points. And he even called me one night and he said, Dave, he said, you know, we need to have the best architects in the world build that building. He said, it's going to be such a great facility. And I think I told him on that point. But anyway, he said, what would you think of a committee of deans from LSU and Tulane in architecture and engineering to advise us? And I said, I knew immediately I had a straight arrow of a governor and a straight arrow of a supporter. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I think it would be a tremendous idea. I said, I know that the Dean of Architecture at Tulane is a very fine, talented man and absolutely a straight arrow. I said, what about your guys? He said, well, they're straight arrows too, but he said, painfully so. He was always making jokes, you know. So, anyway, we ended up with those deans, and from that moment on, I knew we were going to have a great building because these really were top quality people.